напевно, бачили на рекламах «Контакту» оголошення про турне по Канаді Національного балету України. Сьогодні маємо великий привілей вітати в нас пані Людмилу Моленко, начальника зарубіжних зв'язків Національної опери України, яка пояснить дуже важливу роль культури та мистецтва у боротьбі з Москвою.
Дорогі глядачі, вітаємо вас на українській телемережі «Контакт». Мали ми технічні проблеми із пані Людмилою із опери України. Не маємо нагоди поговорити, але тут з нами є Дейвід Мефе, який є продюсер і який займається заробітковими справами і гуманітарними організаціями humanitarian. So David Meffe, welcome to our show. Thank you very much for filling in for the opera representative. And David, this ballet tour, Ukrainian culture, extremely important to every single Ukrainian here in Canada. Please tell us why and how you decided and your organization decided to be involved with this.
So this tour actually started about a year and a half ago, and it started in Orlando, Florida. They did one production of the show right as the war began, and the idea was to bring together the American community and the Ukrainian community, have one big show, have a big blowout, and it wound up selling out in Orlando and raising about $1 million in one night. And these all went towards relief organizations working in Ukraine. So obviously no good deed goes unpunished, and this thing has now turned into a cross North America tour. So what's going on is that from January to February of this year, this National Ballet of Ukraine is going to be going on tour across Canada, from Quebec City all the way to Vancouver in 10 different cities. And they're going to be doing a show called Nadia Ukraine, which showcases some of the best ballets of the world, in addition to a focus on Ukrainian composers, Ukrainian music, and really trying to celebrate Ukrainian culture and bring a little bit of that across Canada.
And David, obviously you're invested in this. Could you help those of us that think a war can only be won with more guns and more bullets and maybe more bombs? What role does culture play in the concept of having this war won and finished with?
Wars are never just fought for territory, and they're not ever just fought with bombs and bullets. Wars are fought over culture, over language, over history. And so what we're seeing a lot of in Ukraine at the moment, as I'm sure you're aware, is this war isn't just about territory, it's about the erasure of Ukrainian history and Ukrainian culture. So fighting this war means not only winning back territory, but making sure that the culture that is so much part of being Ukrainian is maintained as well. If the war is won, but the culture and the people that make it what it is are lost, then nothing is won. And so what these ballerinas are doing is they're taking the absolute very best of Ukrainian culture, and they're showing it to the world, and they're reminding the world, hey, artists have a part to play in this war as well. And war is going to be fought not only with bombs and bullets, but with beauty and music, and showcasing that Ukrainians exist and have this culture and have this history. And if that's on display, and Ukrainian artists are around the world telling their stories through music, through dance, then that culture cannot be destroyed.
David, very nicely said. Could you maybe help us out also with the programming that you've done, considering there's a war? Is there significance to any of the pieces that will be performed and the music selected?
Mm-hmm. Well, the National Ballet of Ukraine, obviously, prior to the war, was performing in Kiev 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week, sold-out shows. And what's happened now since the bombing of Kiev has begun is that they're actually doing fewer shows throughout the week, and they're at a very much more limited capacity. So they can only have as many people in the opera house as there is room in the bomb shelters in the basements. And they've told me that their performances are routinely interrupted by air raid sirens. And generally what they do is that they will stop the performance, everybody goes to the basement, to the coat room, and then once the air raid siren is over, they come back out and they finish the show. This is obviously very disruptive. And it's difficult to maintain a proper ballet schedule. So I think a lot of them are just happy to be performing, in a much more relaxed atmosphere in Canada. But also, as we said previously, this is really going to be focused on Ukrainian composers and some original pieces created just for this tour, one of which is done to Mozart's Lacrimosa, and it's called Prayer for the Fallen, and is really about the war, and it's actually a very, very moving piece, and this is done right before intermission. And so the tour and the program really does reflect the realities of the ground, on the ground of the dancers themselves as they're touring.
And David, there's also a fundraising aspect to this through your organization, Humanite. Maybe please tell us what you're trying to achieve there.
Absolutely. Well, what we didn't want is for the ballet to simply go on tour across Canada, put on a great show, and then leave, right? We don't want this to just be, the circus is coming to town, everybody come. We want this to be a really, really lasting impression made on Canadians. And we want this to be shared not only with the Ukrainian community across Canada, but just the general Canadian community. Canada and Ukraine share this beautiful long history, and Ukrainians have been coming to Canada in times of war and famine forever. And Canadians have always welcomed them with very open arms. And so a big part of this tour, again, is not only just showcasing this beautiful Ukrainian culture, there's really is a purpose to this. So this tour, all the private donations given by audience members and sponsors and dignitaries to the tour go directly to the front lines in Ukraine through both my organization, Humanite Peace Collective, and the First Lady of Ukraine's foundation, the Elena Zelenska Foundation. And this will be everything from refugee relocation to making sure that children have bomb shelters and can still go to schools, to making sure that people have really, really basic needs like food and shelter met, especially on the front lines in the East. So this isn't just, come see a wonderful show. It's come see a wonderful show for a fantastic cause and really try to help some people on the other side of the world who you might never meet and whose faces you might never see, but whose lives will be made better because you saw this beautiful show in Canada.
David, thank you very much. Дорогі глядачі, це була розмова з Дейвідом Мефе, який організатор і координатор цілої програми балету національного українського з Києва, з України. David, thank you very, very much for being with us. Looking forward to a great show. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much.